Hello sim racers and welcome back to the Fixed Setup Oval Racing Guide. We'll be covering week 9, which runs from February 8th through the 15th. Now, according to last week's poll, ARCA was the most enjoyable series, but B Fixed was a pretty close second. Also, as you can see, A Fixed was the least favorite by a pretty large margin. I put up a poll each Thursday, so if you haven't already, make sure you get involved. I love to know your feedback. So with A Fixed being the least favorite for the second straight week, the obvious answer we're all looking for is, what can iRacing do to make it better? So tell me down in the comments section below what you think iRacing needs to do to make A Fixed a more appealing option. Speaking of the comments section, many of you were quick to point out that last week's B Fixed race became a fuel mileage race if there were no yellows. It was a very unique situation. This is why I have the disclaimers in every video that I have. I just don't know these things when I record the videos, but you guys, you go in, you race, you find these things out, and you let the community know. And it really made me happy to see so many people come to the video, leave a comment saying, hey, make sure you save fuel, otherwise you're gonna run out. So thank you so very much. You helped me out a ton. I really do appreciate it. This week, it's all about Daytona, all across the board, all 4 series. So this episode's going to be a little bit different. Beyond that, this week also marks the beginning of a slight shift in how iRacing's calendar for the 3 fixed setup NASCAR series sort of flows, as it now largely follows the real-life NASCAR calendar. ARCA is going to continue to have its own unique schedule, but with the other 3 starting to have a lot of overlap every week, that opens up the door for me to bring in another series or 2 into these videos. So I'm going to leave a link to a poll down in the pinned comment. Take a moment, vote on it. It'll help me decide what to do going forward. Since all 4 series are at the same track this week and it's super speedway racing, I'm just going to cover this right now. Keep an eye on your water and oil temperature gauges if you're in the pack, especially if you're pushing the car in front of you. You do not want to be the person who blows up their engine in front of the field and wipes out a bunch of cars. It's awkward and absolutely preventable. Each car is a little bit different, but if you see a gauge flashing, blinking, a number turning red, just get the front end in some clean air as quickly as possible. You're really playing with fire if you're getting it to that point. As always, these episodes are time-stamped for your convenience, so if you're looking for one series in particular, you'll find each series marked accordingly down in the description below. With all that said, let's take a look at this week's Daytona events. Before we begin, please take a moment to listen to my disclaimers. As with any skill-based activity, your mileage may vary with the information shared in this video. Sim racing requires individual effort to improve, and simply watching a video will not make you a better sim racer. Tips and tricks are not one size fits all, and you may need to adjust based on your skill level. These episodes are recorded before the week begins, so the guided qualifying lap should not be viewed as the gold standard for the best lap time possible. Treat this information simply as a starting point for your own practice routine. Any analysis or commentary that I provide comes from my own experience on iRacing and may not always directly translate to what happens to you. I'm human, I make mistakes, and I can be wrong. I try my best to avoid errors and misinformation, but if I do make a mistake, you have my apology in advance. The ARCA Menard Series race at Daytona is 20 laps in length and takes place at 1:05 p.m. in sim. Now, I always use a 16:1 steering ratio when qualifying at super speedways. I do this because it minimizes the speed lost from turning the wheel. Brake bias can be left where it is, and steering offset is your personal preference. I gotta remind you, there are no caution flags in the ARCA series, so if you get spun out, if you get swept up in a big wreck, there's nothing to save you. Go grab your quick repair, head back out on the track, and recover as many positions as you can. Gonna do qualifying a little bit different this week. We're gonna do an onboard as I drive with live commentary. Let's see how this goes. But, you know, it's qualifying. If you choose to do it this week, there are some very specific things that you can do to give yourself a better chance of winning the pole if that's what you're trying to do. Across all 4 series, it's basically the same approach, but I want to show you how you can improve your chances of winning the pole if you choose to qualify. Can't quite go flat out here on the apron, just about, but breathe the throttle as much as you need to, get up onto the track, make sure you're hitting your shifting points right before 8,000 RPMs in the ARCA car. Now, a common thought is that you have to be right up against the wall to build the most speed. Actually, you want to be about a car width away from the wall as you get up to speed. And luckily for us at Daytona, there's these really nice dashed lines that you can use to sort of tell you where you need to be. As long as you just sort of keep the car hovering over these dashed lines, you're going to be in good shape. So we'll continue to do that all the way around for this get up to speed lap. Coming out of turn 4 now to start our timed lap. We want to make sure we're on the bottom, so start turning to the bottom slightly. Get it right to that yellow line and hold it there all the way through. There's a seam right here. You see the seam I'm driving over? Don't really go beyond that. You want to stay on the bottom. Hug the bottom into 1. Again, minimal steering wheel input. The banking should almost turn the car for you as you get through these turns. Let it sit in the middle of the straightaway. Don't let it fade out to the wall. Then start to let the car turn naturally towards the bottom again with minimal steering wheel input to minimize the loss of speed. Right on the bottom here in 3 and 4. All the way through the turn. Don't touch that apron, it'll really upset the car. Again, the seam where we want to be. And now, there you go. That's legal. You can do that. 49.444. Pretty decent lap there. Don't know how that's going to hold up in official races, but you can definitely go below the yellow line to get a little bit of time coming to the checkered flag. And that's a qualifying run at Daytona in the ARCA car. The most important thing to remember for ARCA is that you cannot bump draft in these cars. The nose will go under the rear bumper of the car in front, lift the rear tires off the ground, and cause that car to spin out. There's not much you can do to protect yourself if someone doesn't know this. I recommend talking about it before each race. That's the least you can do, is just queue up over voice chat and say, hey, remember, you can't bump draft in these cars. There's a high probability that somebody's never done this before in these cars and doesn't know that. You are truly at the mercy of the driver behind you. This is a complete crapshoot, and I wish you the best of luck. The C-Fix Daytona race is 40 laps in length and takes place under the lights at 7:05 p.m. in sim. Once again, for my qualifying lap, I used a 16:1 steering ratio. I'm going to repeat that for B-Fixed and A-Fixed, but it ain't changing. Now, under the lights here in C-Fixed, let's head out and do the same thing. Same shifting points as the ARCA car, right before 8,000 RPMs. Again, you can't full throttle it all the way around on the apron here, so just pedal the throttle as you need to make sure you can keep getting up to speed, but don't wash up onto the track or spin out. Again, use these dash lines to guide you around the track. Stay away from the wall. Don't be up against the wall. It will slow you down. All right, coming to start our timed lap again, right to the yellow line here through the tri-oval, and hold it all the way through. Don't go up past this seam right here. Get you a good entry into turn 1. Left side's right on the yellow line. Don't touch that yellow line, though. You'll lose speed. Let the truck come up a little bit towards the middle of the straightaway. And just try and let the truck ride there. It really shouldn't move around a whole lot. Start pointing it towards the entry of 3. You should be right on the bottom by the time you hit the banking. Very natural, easy progression into the banking. Left side tires on the yellow line. Hold it right there all the way through the turn. Again, use the seam as your guide for the exits. Plop onto the apron here to shortcut the front stretch. 52.315. Iracing recently nerfed the draft effect in the trucks to reduce how much of a boost that trailing truck gets. So I'll be curious to see how the runs work at Daytona. This will be a really good test of how the draft effect is changed. If your strategy is to sit in the back and ride for a while, you're going to need to be a lot closer to that lead pack to make sure you're still getting that draft effect because it's been reduced. Since the truck still punches a large hole in the air, I imagine it's still going to be easy to get a big run while in the pack, but perhaps now it's just going to take more time to build up that speed than it did before they nerfed the draft effect. You got 40 laps to figure it out. Best of luck. The B-Fixed race at Daytona is 30 laps in length. I don't know why it's 10 laps shorter than C-Fixed. That doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it takes place at 4:55 p.m. in Sim. I would have figured C-Fixed was the shortest race, B-Fixed a little bit longer, and then A-Fixed the longest since it's the Premier Series, but apparently iRacing didn't see it the same way I did. Again, make sure you use a 16:1 steering ratio for qualifying. Jumping into the Gamer Advantage Chevy Camaro for the B-Fixed Series. Let's get up to speed and cut a qualifying lap. Got some more RPMs to play with here. You can take this thing all the way up to 9,000 RPMs. So make sure you maximize that. Same deal as before on the apron. Get as much out of it as you can without slipping, sliding, or pushing up onto the racetrack. You just about can flat foot that thing all the way around. Again, stay away from the wall. Use this top seam right here as your guide until you get to the turns where you get the dashed lines. We'll ride them all the way to our money lap. Coming to take the white flag and start our fast lap here. Right on the bottom through the tri-oval. Left side's against the yellow line. Let the car come up just a little bit. Make sure you're right on the bottom here for the entry into turn 1. Do not graze that apron. If you're too low and you hit the apron, it'll shoot you up the racetrack and ruin your lap. Keep the left sides right on the apron there. Let the car go to the middle of the straightaway, not all the way out to the wall. No need to take it all the way out there. Once you're about halfway down the backstretch, you can let the car just sort of drift over to the left, and it should line you up for a perfect drop into 3. Again, keep the left sides on the apron. Don't touch the apron. Hold it all the way there through the turn. Come up about a car width or so, and cut this front stretch on the apron itself. 50.548. For the race, I recommend using the highest steering ratio you feel comfortable with, whether that's 14:1 or 16:1. In past B-Fixed races at super speedways, it's been very commonplace to see drivers struggle to hold a steady line down the straightaways, and that makes for some really uncomfortable moments, let me tell you. Running a higher ratio should help reduce the back and forths, that's what I call it, and allow for a smoother overall experience while driving. Make sure you still have enough reaction in the wheel to make some aggressive moves for later in the race, but being smooth and holding the car straight with minimal input should be your main priority. And finally, the A-Fixed race at Daytona is 35 laps in length and takes place at 1:05 p.m. in Sim. So yeah, C-Fixed is the longest, A-Fixed is the second longest, and B-Fixed is the shortest of the 3 NASCAR series. Whatever. Like everything else, again, 16:1 steering ratio for qualifying. And the final qualifying run now in the Gamer Advantage Chevy Camaro ZL1 for A Fixed. It's really easy to light up the rear tires if you just hammer the throttle, and that's going to hurt your get up to speed lap. It all starts from a standstill here on pit road, so make sure you ease into the throttle. Don't just hammer it. That's not good. There we go. I like to shift around 9,200, 9,300 RPMs. Seems to be a good spot to do it. Be aggressive on this apron, but it's really easy to overdrive it. The car will really slide around a lot. But as soon as it's straight, hammer that throttle and get up onto the back straightaway. Don't get near that outside wall, though. All right, here we come to our timed lap again. Down to the yellow line for the tri-oval. Keep it right there all the way through. Let the car just come up to that seam right here. Should put you in a good spot to get into turn one on the bottom. Stay off the apron. Nice and smooth on the steering wheel to keep it right on that yellow line. Let the car come up as you exit the banking towards the middle of the track. Sort of keep it right here. You can let the car start to drift on its own to the left a little bit to the exit of 3. Again, stay off the apron. If you clip it, it'll send you up the racetrack. Hold it right on the line. Again, use the seam to guide you on exits and hit this apron on the front stretch. 47.872. I think I clipped the grass a little bit, but got away with it. Don't touch that grass or it'll negate the lap time. Take the same approach for A Fixed as you did for B Fixed. Run the highest steering ratio that you're comfortable with. This will help you be smoother on the steering wheel, keep the car in line down the straightaways, and that's going to allow the people behind you to push you a lot more comfortably. Other than that, your friends are where you find them when it comes to super speedway racing. But, as with every other series this week, I would tell you, expect the unexpected, drive defensively, and don't be surprised if you're caught up in a wreck. That's probably going to be how a lot of your races end, but with any luck, you might be around at the finish with a shot to win. Take your opportunities where they are, be aggressive, but don't make bad decisions. One false move can trigger a huge wreck, and that's going to make everybody very unhappy. We are truly in a special time of year. The NASCAR season is less than a week from starting. We got the Clash on Tuesday and then the Daytona 500 on Sunday. So cool. There's a lot to look forward to, but with Daytona week and iRacing, I encourage you to take the good with the bad. And remember, if you get in a streak of bad finishes, it's okay to take a break from this stuff. Don't get burned out. Don't get pissed off. It's just a game. All right, I can already hear people screaming, "It's a simulation!" I get it, but still, it's okay to walk away from time to time if it's getting to you because you keep getting crashed. This style of racing is high risk and can be very detrimental to your I rating and your safety rating. Nobody likes to lose a license because of bad luck, but this week, it can absolutely happen. Think of Daytona week like investing in GameStop. It's very volatile and risky, so proceed with caution. I hope that you enjoyed this week's episode and found the information to be educational, but most importantly, helpful. If it was, please leave a thumbs up, and if it wasn't, a thumbs down, so I know to do better next time. If you want to see more iRacing content similar to this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on so that you never miss an episode. Additionally, you can catch me live streaming iRacing on my Twitch channel, linked down in the description below. If you want to get in touch with me and stay up to date on the latest channel activity, the best way to do that is to follow me on Twitter, also linked down in the description below. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and have a great week of racing.